Hello, good morning. Welcome to Joy News Desk. My name is Kenneth Jesse, and coming up this morning, latest research by education think tank EduWatch reveals Galamsey and betting fuel rising school dropouts in northern Ghana. Police in Western Region investigate fatal shooting at Adelekezu. Later, we bring you the story of a mother who carried her 2-year-old child across borders in search of bone marrow transplant and the price families pay when acute leukemia can only be treated abroad. Details of these and many other stories are up shortly. Don't go anywhere. And this morning, education think tank Africa Education Watch is worried about a growing concern crisis in northern Ghana, disclosing that nearly 70% of children aged 12 to 17 who are out of school have dropped out largely due to illegal mining and betting activities. Well, the team says its recent findings point to a worrying shift in the profile of out-of-school children compared with trends captured in the 2021 population and housing census. Let's get more on this, and joining me on the telephone line is Dr. Kingsley Ajaman, who's the MP for Ebuako South. He's also the member on Parliament's Education Committee, and Africa Education Watch's Kofi Asare is also joining us on the line. Kofi, let me begin with you. This is a very worrying trend. How has this trend changed since 2021?
Well, by 2021, and I want to say good morning to your audience. By 2021, there were more girls out of school when the census report was published, and so we are seeing a different trend where in the northern part of Ghana, in the training district that we conducted our census, more boys are out of school. Obviously, if you look at the drivers, mainly economic drivers, child labor, Galamsey, betting. These three things are normally, male-dominated activities, illegal activities for children, I must say. And so you would expect that in Talensi, for instance, where Galamsey is keeping many young boys out of school, you will see more girls being in school compared to boys, given the population dynamic. In urban or peri-urbans, like in Busa North, you go to Nanumba South, you go to Gushegu, you see the trend that where the drivers are economic, mainly betting, Galamsey, some form of abuboya, etc. You see that in these three key economic activities that we are recording in the census, boys are the major participants in them. And so that perhaps explains the dynamic we are seeing in the northern regions.
And aside from Galamsey and betting, was there another indicator that drove the dropout in school numbers?
Of course, the lack of teachers in schools was a major factor. We see it through the census in two ways. One way is that government has been investing in the past 4 years in interventions to reduce the out-of-school children population through complementary basic education, where children who are out of school are given accelerated learning interventions and transition to enter the formal schooling system. But the challenge is that where teachers are unavailable, you transition the students into the formal basic education system, and then they drop out because the coping mechanisms, the retention mechanisms in the school, including the availability of a teacher in the classroom, are weak. And so people who have been transitioned from out of school to in school are going back to out of school. And another dynamic is that if children are in school and teacher availability is an issue, obviously they'll drop out, because even when they are in school, there's always a battle between parents taking their children to farm for labor and then bringing them to school. communities hardly appreciate the value of education. And I'm talking about the communities that we did the census in. And so many of them hardly appreciate the value of education. So if the reason to take their children to school is created by not making teachers available in their classroom, by not making furniture available in school, then they take their children to farm or to engage in other economic activities. And so, yes, there are other drivers apart from Galamsey, betting, and then Aboboya riding. And this includes the lack of teachers in many, many classrooms, especially in the 20 districts in the northern regions where we conducted the census.
I know that this survey is centered largely around the northern part of the country, but has it extended to other parts of the country? And do you see a similar trend in other parts of the country?
If you study the out-of-school dynamic, a majority of out-of-school children are located in 3 regions: Northeast, Northern region, and I think Savannah. Majority of the out-of-school children, so Northeast has the highest percentage of its children out of school. And so the dynamic may be different for other regions, in Ghana, except to say that while the proportion of out-of-school children may be lower, there is significant numbers, of out-of-school children, even in Greater Accra, as a result of rural urban migration and urban poverty. It's a national situation that continues to affect Ghana's ability to meet Sustainable Development Goals 4 by 2030, and education strategy plans core objective of ensuring that there's equitable access to basic education by 2030. And so we expect that beyond government implementing complementary education programs to provide accelerated learning opportunities and transitioning out of school children into the formal schooling system, it is important that interventions that aim to retain students in school, especially teachers, and then the school feeding programs, are strengthened. In the census, we found out that as the age group increases from 4 towards 17, the out-of-school numbers also increases. It tells us that the coping mechanism, the retention mechanisms as the child grows through the primary to junior high school becomes weak. The highest point of dropout is between age 12 and 17. The highest number of out-of-school children are recorded between age 12 and 17. That's 70% of the out-of-school children proportion. Now, if you go into the schooling system, engage what happens at that age group, that's between primary 6 and senior high school 2. The major intervention there, what happens is that the Ghana School Feeding Program, which sustains children in school from KG1 to primary 6, ends at primary 6. It doesn't extend to junior high school 1. And so a lot of children in these communities go to Tatari Sanguli especially. Students are not encouraged to continue to go to junior high school 1, especially where the junior high school is in another community from the primary school. And if they go there, their parents do not have money to give them to buy lunch. And even if their parents had money to buy lunch, in such small communities, there is no economy. So you can't get lunch to buy. That is why it's important that as we appreciate the gains the Ghana School Feeding Program has brought to retention and bringing in out-of-school children to school at the primary school level and KG, it is important that such gains are guarded by sustaining and extending the program to cover junior high schools, at least in the schools that the school feeding program has been operating in, so that we just don't support children from KG to primary 6 and lose them because of poverty.
Right.
But then we are able to give them the full cycle of public basic education after completing junior high school 3.
Kofi, don't go yet. I'll come back to you. Let me now bring in Dr. Kingsley Agyemang, who's the MP for Ebuako South. He's also a member of Parliament's Education Committee. Glad he could join me this morning. You've been listening to Kofi Asare, who conducted this survey. And one of the things that struck me was the fact that as they go higher in the education ladder, they tend to drop out. And he mentioned that because there is no school feeding program, especially in junior high school, you see more children dropping out from school at that particular level, especially in northern Ghana. Is this something that the Education Committee in Parliament is considering, perhaps extending the school feeding program to junior high schools maybe?
Thank you very much. And a very good morning to service listeners. I mean, Kofi's findings is not played before. And Parliament and Mahama started committee. As well as intervention for the I mean, has thought out vulnerability to you mentioned programming, intervention.
Dr. Ajiman, I'm struggling to hear you. If you can kindly reposition yourself.
Hello. Am I audible now?
Quite better.
Okay, so I'm saying that the rate is not up place, and that the education committee, African Parliament, have had an intervention to keep it cool. However, one thing that's being factual is that serious parents has become an issue that is happening almost every corporate educational. If you have students who are quite confident, because educated child is a test and parents have become more responsible out of their communicators and it's not between the education together on human rights. We had a joint fight and we went to fight for both twins and it was quite different. The issue of Galamsey, Abuja, the youth Islamic State of was very, very hard. And these are the that are fight against it from stage. So I think even my movement for honorable learning, we are bringing the proposal where we are, we are preparing children. So in a class, you have upper learners, have intermediate, and you have the so as performance. Teachers have given them more time to take subjects and not very well to bring them. So it's and I think it's before we are casting together a development partners, UNICEF. There are a lot of these interventions that are and that these interventions together, good parents or good parents, we should get.
Dr. Ajimada, Kofi Asare also mentioned that the northern part of the country is very loud when it comes to school dropouts. He mentioned that one of their findings was lack of teachers in these schools, and it's leading the students to drop out. As a member of the House and a member of the Parliament's Education Committee, is this something that you want to take on to ensure that there is a serene environment for teachers who are posted to these places so that it doesn't keep the students out of school?
Exactly so. Apart from, let's say, extenuating circumstances like conflict in most parts of the northern regions, there's a proposal of community college education where we take adult community, put them into college education, and they are compelled to go back to their step. This is something that has begun, and that cannot to test not good. Because I'm not sure. You said that if you are that we let go another place where we have you're not like go because everybody has the right to set themselves one way or the other. So really conflicted community teachers not accepting posting into these areas. So it's we pray that stop as fast as they can stop so that the peace in this community and all it's not just that recently there was complications where both healthcare are accepted into community where they are. And if you go to the north, realize the community are somehow together in one another. So if there's it's like circle and kind. So we hope that we stop as quick as then every that has play in a key in most parts of we have.
Dr. Ajiman, don't go yet. I'll come back to you. Let me bring back Kofi Asare with Africa Education Watch. You did mention that, of course, Galamsey and betting is driving most of the students out of class, especially the boys. But one peculiar thing is that you say the girls are still staying in school, but there are other factors like lack of teachers. It affects both girls and boys. What is making the girls stay and the boys go?
Well, we are not saying the girls are staying. We are saying that relative to the boys, the girls are staying. We still have early marriage threatening girls' retention, and we still have teenage pregnancy also threatening girls' retention. But the extent to which these economic factors are keeping boys out of school is much higher than those social factors are keeping girls out of school. I must admit that, yes, parental responsibility, as mentioned by the Honorable Member of Parliament, is key. We've seen that there are some communities where, even though there's a school, parents are not minded to enroll their children in the school. And this is where we need Parliament to come in here. And I must say that, yes, we work closely with Parliament, and we are going to have an engagement with Parliament on this census early next year. Now, in 38(2) of our Constitution, there is provision for free compulsory universal basic education. We've been doing it for 19 years, since the FQ started. The challenge is that Ghana has still not mastered the courage to declare basic education compulsory. The discussion always within the political corridors has been that, well, how do we declare basic education compulsory when we've not provided adequate schools, for instance? But the reality is that no country in this world has adequate schools, has adequacy in any education inputs required to deliver education service. It starts from somewhere. I believe strongly that looking at some of the issues we are raising, because they border on truancy and weak parental responsibility, if Parliament begins to engage executive on the need to enforce the right to basic education, the compulsory aspect, and have district assemblies, implement harsh bylaws or legislations that will have consequences for irresponsible parenthood, and parents who don't take their school children, their school-age children to school, suffering some, ramifications, we will never have a responsible society, because you have a situation where in many communities there are schools,
right,
and that parents are just being responsible for not taking their children to school. So we can pass a law to enforce the compulsory aspect of FQ and indicate that there must be a reasonable justification for one not taking their child to school, including, among others, the absence of a school within reasonable proximity. But there's a situation where we have schools, and in many of these schools, there are teachers, and there's furniture, and children are doing betting, sport betting in the daytime when they're supposed to be in school, and their parents are not minded, and government is spending on free compulsory universal basic education. It's obviously unacceptable. It doesn't happen like that in other parts of the world,
right,
where education, is taken much more seriously. So we need to have a conversation about the compulsory aspect of FQ. 19 years after implementing FQ, when are we going to make basic education compulsory? And when are we going to have sanctions for parents who, without justifiable causes, do not enroll their children in public basic schools?
Kofi Asare is the Executive Director at Africa Education Watch. Thank you very much. Dr. Kingsley Ajiman is still on the line with me. Kofi Asare has proffered some solutions. He says that he feels Parliament should make education, especially at the basic level, compulsory. Is that something that Parliament would consider doing?
Right of the child. Every child has a right to education. And I think the enforcement sections or clauses in our FQ, we don't have an enforcement clauses. So, for instance, we say it's free. But if a parent does not put a child to school, what are the penalties? So these are things that we should be looking out for. And again, when it even comes to budget, we should begin to have a percentage of that that put education. For instance, this year, Parliament of the budget comes to for the education sector. After the time of considering the that's this last about 3 billion will be released. So far, campus, because we have to take this compulsory part of government when basic for the law to become are not. So it's something we have to put in because as the free nature of the ticket became a rest by virtue of the two constitution. So I believe we are put to the point where we have to do it by having the enforcement to make parents. Because if we like not, parents as the state can put together everything that the parents will right or primary with it. If they not ensure that the kids just go to school, I'm not sure a teacher can move out of the classroom to go and chase the child to come to school. So the overarching objective is that we have to be more responsible parenting.
Right.
The state will have a role to play, and Parliament can consider the various legislation that will make it compulsory with a lot of enforcement and penalties.
Dr. Kingsley Agyemang, thank you very much. He's the MP for Ebuako South and also a member of Parliament's Education Committee. And earlier we heard from Kofi Asare, who is the Executive Director of the Africa Education Watch. Now let's take you to the Western region now, because police in that region say it is investigating a shooting incident that's left a young man dead and other properties destroyed. And here is a statement from the Ghana Police Service. Police team in the Western region has commenced investigations into a shooting incident that occurred at a mining company site on Saturday, leading to the death of a boy and destruction of properties belonging to the company at Adelekozu near Dadrin in the Axim district of the Western region. It continues to say that preliminary investigations suggest that some youth from that area had a misunderstanding with the private security men of the company in an attempt to invade the company's concession. In the process, they attempted to take one of the security men's pump-action gun from him, which he resisted and fired, hitting the boy. He was rushed to the Axim Government Hospital for treatment, but he was pronounced dead on arrival. It says that the police team was able to rescue 11 of the workers and also arrested suspects. And the suspects have been listed there for causing harm and causing unlawful damage. It concludes by saying that the Western Regional Command is calling on members of the community to remain calm and cooperate with the investigation to ensure justice is served. And moving on, the United States government is lauding Ghana's leading role in promoting democracy despite growing threats in the West African sub-region. West Africa remains a flashpoint in Africa, having recorded the highest number of extremist-related killings and the highest number of military overthrow of democratically elected governments. Touching on what needs to be done in stabilizing the region, the only part of the Africa-U.S. State Department's Deputy Assistant Secretary for West Africa, William Stevens, told reporters at a press briefing that Ghana has a leading role to play in bringing the AES region to the table for a collective dialogue on the way forward.
Another reason to make sure to stop and see Ghana this year is, as a rough neighborhood, you're also one of the shining examples of democracy in the region. And you need to be recognized for that, for standing up for those pillars and those values that make it easier for your citizens to engage and for your citizens to advocate. When we say we want trade, not aid, democracies create the environments for innovation and economic growth. And we're proud of that as Americans. It's the foundation upon which the American economic miracle has happened. And so we look at ECOWAS as a great partner for that. I think it's a challenging region, and most of our engagement has been on a bilateral level. But again, I think we're looking for African solutions and how we can support and prop those up to the leaders of the AES countries And I think we need to enter those conversations as he has, without preconditions. Right? We need to be talking about the shared security concerns that we have, or that the region has. And so that is a role that Ghana seems very well to play, along with others in the region. And the truth is, these VEOs, the violent extremist organizations, JNIM, which is an Al-Qaeda affiliate, they aren't adhering to borders, right? And they don't care. And so it's not a threat that's unique to Burkina Faso or to Mali or to Niger. These are shared threats. And so we need to be thinking about the collective we, the United States, Europe, the countries in the region. And when I say African, it includes Morocco and northern neighbors in the Maghreb and other players in the region, right? Turkey, the Gulf states. People who have interests should be thinking about what are the impacts of these VEOs on what is happening in the region and what is happening in the economies of the region and the stability of the region. So I think Ghana has a big role to play.
Let's do some politics now. And former Finance Minister Mohamed Amin Adam has rejected assertions that politicians from northern Ghana are merely following former Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia out of blind loyalty. Addressing party supporters during Dr. Bawumia's campaign activities, the Member of Parliament for Karaga said the backing being demonstrated by New Patriotic Party leaders in the northern regions is driven by firm conviction rather than sentiment.
Northerners, ne kat dwell Bawumia. Northerners kat dwell Bawumia. Ne tinyala zumba. Now we are blind, and we are blindly following Bawumia. But I want them to know that we are not blind. We can see. We can see. And when we look at all of them, we see Bawumia. We see a competent man. We see a humble man. We see a truthful man. We see a president. And that president is going to be who? Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Thank you. Thank you.
And on the 12th of November, 6 young women lost their lives at the Elwak Sports Stadium following a stampede during a military recruitment process. And more than 20 people were injured in the process. At the time of the event, the Ghana Armed Forces said in a statement that the tragic crash appeared to have been caused by an unexpected surge in applicants who breached security protocols and rushed into the gates. Senior military officers who supervised the Ghana Armed Forces recruitment exercise at Elwak Sports Stadium were asked to step aside to pave way for investigations into the tragic incident. A month after the incident, the said investigations have yet to be made public. The following report has more. The tragic stampede that claimed the lives of 6 young women during the Ghana Armed Forces recruitment exercise plunged the nation into mourning and raised serious questions about crowd control and safety at public events. At the 37 military hospital in Accra, scenes of grief filled the health facility.
Until day 6 o'clock, the auntie and the mom spoke to me that they've not heard from her, they've not seen her, so they are here. Then I asked them, should I come? And they said, yeah, I can come. And so I found out their whereabouts. I went and met them. And the officers came to me. They introduced to them that I'm the father. Then they asked me, can I identify her? I said, yes. So we went to where...
The Ghana Armed Forces released a statement which read in part,
preliminary investigations indicate that the stampede was triggered by an unexpected surge of applicants who breached security protocols and rushed into the gates ahead of scheduled screening at about 6:20 hours.
The Deputy Minister for Defence, Ernest Bojajemfi, then assured families of the victims of government support and added that one recruitment slot will be made available for each of the victims' families.
His Excellency the President has directed that we give the opportunity to the family to replace all these 6 dead persons. Of course, we have to check their fitness level, how they are healthy, how they qualify to be with the Ghana Armed Forces. Not only that, His Excellency the President has also directed that all injured persons involved in this tragic incident be also given the automatic qualification to be recruited with the Ghana Armed Forces at any point they recover.
Despite the Ghana Armed Forces and the acting Defense Minister, Kasial Atoforsen, confirming the establishment of a board of inquiry to investigate the incident, no findings have been made public yet.
Many thanks for staying with us. It's time for business. I am Michelle Ajakum. And now to our stories. Against the backdrop of Ghana's evolving economic landscape, the Western Power Cooperative Credit Union convened its 17th annual general meeting in the Western region, placing strong emphasis on sustainable finance and institutional resilience. The meeting reviewed the union's 2024 financial performance, declared surplus payouts to members, and unveiled strategic initiatives designed to enhance financial stability and secure long-term benefits for its membership. There's more in this report.
Building a financially resilient institution has become more critical than ever as cooperatives navigate economic uncertainties and shifting market conditions. At the annual general meeting of the Western Power Cooperative Credit Union, sustainability emerged as the guiding theme for the growth and long-term stability.
The theme for this year, Sustainable Finance for a Resilient Tomorrow, aligns strongly with the ECG 2025 to 2029 strategic vision, which seeks to position our company as a competitive, sustainable, innovative, and customer-centric service provider. Just as ECG is prioritizing sustainability as a strategic focus, so must our financial cooperative focus on building systems that are resilient, responsible, and capable of supporting long-term member prosperity.
Despite challenges with delayed receivables from some stakeholders, the board chairman says the union remains stable and well-positioned for growth.
In the year under review, our finances were not so much affected, but then it would have been better than what we have today had our receivables from our various stakeholders came on time. I understand. So those are the only few challenges we encountered.
He disclosed that 40% of the union surplus has been distributed to members this year, with expectation of improved performance and progress.
What will affect us a bit is that the credit unions are liquid. They have more liquid funds, and normally they put it in treasury bills and others, and the interest of treasury bills is going down, and the interest of loans are also going down at the same time. So it will affect profitability to a level. But I think if we increase the membership size and the volume of savings, we can still make it with the economy.
For Joy Business, in Athalia Kwanzaa, Western Region.
Now, in other developments, effective January 1 next year, the Ghana card will be the mandatory requirement before one can purchase or review motor and other insurance products. This was contained in a notice from the National Insurance Commission, seen by Joy Business. More in the following report.
As Commission, corporate clients are also required to provide their tax identification number when completing their motor insurance transactions. The Commission in a circular argued that this is meant to help improve claims handling, strengthen Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering. The Commission also believes this will help reduce fraud and as well as help in aligning Ghana with global financial service standards. It appears the insurance sector is following similar directive from the Bank of Ghana when it comes to deposits and all other financial transactions.
You log on to myjoyonline.com again.
Thank you very much, Michelle, for bringing us the latest in business, as always. Let's head to the Ashanti region now, because in Kumasi, tempers and travel times are rising as traffic builds across the city. From Edum to Tech Junction, drivers say this year's congestion is worse than usual. The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly says the festive season always draws huge numbers into the city and has now turned to the police for extra support to manage the situation. Irabna Akwe has been speaking to the drivers, the KMA and traders about why the city is struggling under such heavy traffic this December.
Its population always swells during the festive season, but the December influx is especially intense. The city becomes a major commercial hub at this time of the year.
One thing that stands out as Christmas is fast approaching is that Kumasi is moving slower than ever. There is heavy traffic, parked stations and overflowing walkways that have turned every journey into a test of patience.
Kumasi is the center, and on a normal day we have people ranging from 1 million plus trooping to the central business district, and when it's the festive season the numbers multiplies. And so we also realize that vehicles will come, people and all that. Trade is at the center of it, and congestion takes the center stage in all this.
On the road, drivers point to multiple causes behind the congestion, from deteriorating routes to indiscipline.
We're on the streets to find out what is driving the congestion, how people are coping, and how the Christmas rush is shaping daily lives in the metropolis.
The roads are old. There are a lot of vehicles on the road. Christmas is on occasion. People will be coming to shop. We plead with the government to expand the road. Most of our roads are one way, and people prefer to come to town than to shop in their areas. In other countries, there are other roads people can use in case there is traffic, but we have one-way roads here. A lot of drivers don't use common sense. We stop at anywhere, and that causes traffic. The indiscipline is too much. I think soldiers should be deployed to stand at vantage places this Christmas.
Despite the massive foot traffic in commercial centers, traders say the crowds have not translated into strong sales.
They don't buy anything. On Monday, what we sold was not up to 20 million.
Money is hard to come by. The market isn't good, but hopefully around 24th to 25th, we begin making sales. To ease the pressure, the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly is working with the Regional Police Command to increase enforcement in hotspot areas. KMA Public Relations Officer Henrietta Efia Kunedu Abuaje explains.
So what the Chief Executive has done is that he's had a meeting with the police command, the regional police command, and has asked that although they have already detailed their men out, he would want him to help the assembly with some men specifically for KMA, so that they join the task force that KMA has in going around.
Drivers blame the holiday rush and the poor state of roads and lack of inner roads for the heavy traffic. Traders say the crowds haven't translated into better sales yet, and commuters are simply trying to make it through the gridlock. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Irabna Akwe.
And of course, if you want to support the leukemia situation that we're trying to curb, the bone marrow transplant center that we want to build in Ghana, these are the details that you can contribute your money via. You can contribute via Stanbic Bank, Mobile Money, and EcoBank, and your donation can save lives. The time to act is now. Please donate. Let's take you to Nigeria now, because preparations are in full swing in Osun State in that country as the traditional ruler of Ile-Ife, the Oni of Ife, His Majesty Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi Ojaja II, prepares to bestow one of the most prestigious Yoruba chieftaincy titles on President Mahama. The president of Botswana, businessman Aliko Dangote, and other top distinguished guests are expected at the ceremony. The Oni of Ife is the traditional ruler of Ile-Ife, a historic town in Osun State in Nigeria, and is considered one of the most important and respected Yoruba kings. Presidential Affairs correspondent Maxwell Akbagba is in Osun State, Nigeria for us and reports.
We are currently here at Ile-Ife. It is located here in the Osun State in Nigeria. It is considered as the spiritual and ancestral home of the Yoruba people. The traditional ruler here is the Oni Ife. Yes, he's the traditional ruler of the people of Ile-Ife. And today there's a big ceremony happening here at this palace grounds where we are currently. President John Mahama is going to be bestowed upon a prestigious chieftaincy title, which loosely translates as the president who reorganizes the global space. And of course, we've known the huge contributions of President Mahama in terms of his advocacy for multilateralism, urging nations not to work in silos but work together to tackle global challenges like climate change and economic inequalities. Well, the atmosphere here is exciting. It's buzzing with activity already, with final preparations currently underway. Now, at exactly 11 o'clock a.m., President Mahama is expected to arrive here on the ground. We are told by organizers that top dignitaries, including the president of Botswana, and businessman Aliko Dangote and other top dignitaries are expected here today for the installation ceremony. So right here at the palace of the Oni of Ife, all is set, all is ready. Giant portraits and pictures of President Mahama together with the Oni of Ife. I've seen pictures also of the president of Nigeria, President Tinubu, who I'm told that this is the state where he comes from, the Osun State. All is set, traditional dancers are ready. Of course, you've seen the horse-drawn chariots. A lot is expected to happen here on this hallowed ground. Let me take you a bit into the arena where the main event itself would be happening. You can see these red carpets here stretch all the way down there. This is the arena where the main event will be taking place, and then later there will be a reception that will be happening later in the day. But it's going to be promises to be exciting. In President Mahama's recent address, like I mentioned, the title loosely translates as the president who recognizes the global space for humanity. We know that President Mahama has long been a champion of multilateralism and the pursuit of a fair global order, consistently pushing for equity, cooperation, and sustainable development on the world stage. Now, in his recent address to the United Nations, which reverberated across the continent and the world, President Mahama stressed the need for nations to work together to tackle global challenges from climate change to economic inequality, whilst ensuring that developing countries have a stronger voice in shaping international policies. Now, remember that President Mahama already holds the esteemed title of Ari Atolasi of Ufa, and he has long enjoyed warm ties with Yoruba communities. Now, in October 2015, I should say, the Ofa Kingdom in Kwara State conferred the honorary title on him. So basically, that's what will be happening here at this hallowed grounds. Final preparations underway. In some minutes, the main event, would start, and the excitement is already building up, in the Ife community itself, with a lot of the locals eagerly anticipated the arrival of President John Mahama and the installation ceremony to begin. Reported from Nigeria, Maxwell Agbagba, Joy News.
And back here in Accra, my name is Kenneth Jesse. The news team returns at midday with news today. Thank you very much for watching.